Do you ever feel out of place in this world, like you don't totally belong? Well, today I'm going to be talking about starseeds, and maybe you're a starseed. Hi, I'm Italia Oliver, and if it's your first time to the channel, welcome. Be sure to hit that subscribe button down below and hit the bell notification to be notified of the latest videos. So when I was a little girl, I didn't know it then that I was a starseed, but when I was young, when I was a little girl, I would always look out the window of my bedroom and look up into the night sky, and I did that every night. And whenever I saw Orion's belt, I always felt just this like familial comfort, like my real family wasn't here in the family that I had here on Earth, although I love my Earth family. I just didn't always feel totally connected, even as a little girl. I always felt that my home was somewhere up in the stars and in the sky. And that always had resonated with me throughout college, wherever I went. Every time, particularly with Orion's belt, did I feel this just sense of home and comfort whenever I look at it. And I still continue to feel that today. And then also when I was young, about 8, 9 years old, I also saw something in the sky that really changed my life, but I didn't really have anybody to talk to about it. Apparently my mom had an experience, but I didn't find that out until actually just last year. But when I was little, I saw, or 8 or 9, I saw this triangular shaped object in the sky with lights, and it just kind of like hovered there above the trees. And then it like moved quickly to my left. It moved quickly to the left, and then it just zoomed straight up into the sky and disappeared. Okay, so obviously I knew that it wasn't a plane. It was something totally different, but I didn't know who to tell or what to tell because I didn't want anybody to also think I was crazy. And then I went about my life, I went to high school, went to college, I got my master's degree, I have a master's of science degree in education, went to work. I was a teacher for many years. I was a reading specialist, a coach for teachers, and life just kind of moved along. I would have certain, psychic visions and feelings and things like that. I've had that ever since I was little, but I didn't really know what was going on. I had a lot of synchronicities that I was aware of, but I wasn't still sure what that all was. But I still always felt this sense of home somewhere else, and that I didn't really belong. Like the world itself didn't always make sense to me, like how money or power or things like that. It just seems very upside down, the world that we live in. And I've always felt like that, like money, possessions, power, all that stuff never really made sense to me. And even like with people as well, sometimes I would feel like I knew their motivations, even maybe more than they did at the time, or things like that. And I was always a truth seeker, like always just the truth of things. And I loved with all my heart and all that kind of stuff. And so I just always felt like very different from others. And so what happened was I went through breast cancer, which really, when I was in my lowest point in chemotherapy, was when I heard this voice, because I said, God, I want to serve you. I don't know how. And it says to me, be not afraid. You will be okay. We're with you. So I hear these words of comfort and peace, this peace that passes all understanding. And from there, there's this whole thing with the angels, and I start meeting the star beings, and all the stuff that happened to me when I was young and throughout my 20s and 30s all starts to make sense now, because everything that I felt, everything that I experienced really started to make sense for me. And lo and behold, I found out that I am, what we label a star seed, okay? And so star seeds are really these highly evolved souls that are, we're here on the earth, but we don't originate from the earth, okay? So we're human by birth and DNA. Now there's another thing called hybrids, but that's another kind of, I guess, facet of the whole thing. But it's all, with the star seeds, really, we're here for a mission. And we come from, different alternate dimensions, parallel universes, different star systems, different galaxies and planets. And we come here with specific missions. And so some people may awaken or activate at certain times. Some are just born knowing like what that is and they do it. Others, it's a process, of this awakening, or they have these spiritual awakenings that happen to them, that things then start to make sense. But sometimes even too, with this specific mission or life purpose, it's about, raising consciousness, serving humanity. But we can have many purposes. And sometimes people get bogged down, well, what's my life purpose? What's that one thing? Well, actually, you can have many, many different life purposes. And as you grow and evolve and change, so does your purpose, right? So I moved from teaching in one way, in the more traditional sense, right, of the academic setting in the academic world, and now I teach in a different way, the metaphysical, through spiritual advisory and through the readings that I do, in helping people to find peace. I serve humanity in that way. And so these missions that we have here can evolve, they can change, they can move, they're fluid, just like the reality that we live in. Our reality is all about movement and change. Reality doesn't like, the nature of reality doesn't like stagnation, right? Everything from the beings that I've channeled, I have a playlist on those different beings that I've channeled if you are interested in that. But everything that I have done in that way of movement, it's all about moving your energy, because the world and this intelligence too that we work with doesn't like stagnation, right? Your body doesn't like stagnation. Reality doesn't like stagnation. Everything moves. So back to the star seeds. So star seeds, yeah, we do have mission. The mission is more of a general way of looking at it, is that, you're serving humanity in some way, and that you're raising consciousness as well. So now there are some things that you can ask yourself to see if you feel like a star seed. I mean, intuitively, you'll know if you feel like a star seed, right? There's this longing for home, or there's this sense of service. But there are some questions you can ask yourself, which will help you in just really even more identifying anyway whether or not you're a star seed. As a child, did you look up at the night sky with longing and sometimes think, take me home? Or ask, why am I here? The why am I here, it's a really essential question. It's probably what every human asks themselves. Why am I here? What is the purpose? What am I doing? And so I always had felt that take me home, like I've always lived. I knew that I am here, but I know I'm from so many other places, and I know that home is not just here. Home is where my heart is, and home is where my consciousness is. But I also feel that my consciousness is in other places too, maybe other planets, other stars. Well, I know my consciousness is somewhere else. But but I've always felt that it exists in other places, perhaps even at the same time. I think of Don Hotway, one of the felines that I channel, and my collective, the intelligence that I work with in the spirit world, has told me, and Don Hotway herself, is actually that I am her in experiencing life elsewhere as her. And so she actually made contact with me a couple weeks ago, which I shared in my Archangel Haniel channeling. Archangel Haniel actually shares that experience. And now on to the next question. Do you feel that money, possessions, and a successful career aren't really that important? I've always felt that ever since I was young, although through the programming and cultural programming that we have on our planet, of course, we have to live and all of that, but it just doesn't define who I am. And if it doesn't feel like it defines who you are, then, that's one of the characteristics of being a starseed. Another question. Have you felt different or out of place in society? I've felt different the way that I've interacted with people, the way that I go about the world, the way that I think about the world, how I think a lot of things are very backwards, and what the values are and the priorities that we put. Even the lack of value for just human life. And so that's one of the things you can ask yourself. Another thing you can ask yourself is, are you interested in angels, Atlantis, Lemuria, channeling, pyramids, metaphysical ideas, spirituality, UFOs? I mean, the list goes on. So if you have an intrigue or just a real curiosity, and an openness for anything that seems different than maybe what society deems as quote unquote normal, you may be a starseed. Finally, are you intuitive, curious, open to spiritual and psychic abilities, and love learning about spirituality and cosmic knowledge? So that kind of goes together with that. So I hope these questions and answering them help you, because in spending some time either reflecting on those questions or answering those questions for yourself will really help you in understanding yourself. And maybe it'll spawn some ideas of thinking back to maybe experiences you've had in your childhood or in your life, where things that didn't quite make sense actually end up making sense. So if you like this video, please hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, and share. It really helps me. Until next time, take care.